So while on our journeys, heart traveling to the inner cosmos, and of course, which connects us to the outer cosmos, we may encounter gateways or portals, and they may look different to each of us individually, and I'll share how that showed up for me. It was, I was going along and I encountered the way was kind of blocked, the way on, and it was pink in this barrier that lay before me, and I didn't know what to do with it. So I thought it may be a good idea just to share what I learned in passing through these portals that might show up. I was kind of perplexed by it, and you know, the way that the mechanism by which we heart travel is through our empathy drive and our connection to our heart, which connects us then to all hearts. And when we can hold the frequency of another heart, then we gravitate to that and that to us, and we kind of meet in the middle, in here, in the now, which in the heart space, it is always here and now. It is not about going there versus here. It kind of has to be said that way because there's no other way for us to talk about it or understand it, but in that connection, in that empathic connection to all, we merge, and the veils of separation drop away, and we are connected. Well, we are aware of our connection to everything all at the same time. So it occurred to me that a gateway is no different, that we get to feel how that gateway is feeling, and the colors, to me, they showed up to me as colors. They may show up as something else for everyone, and they can change. So they can appear one way in as we travel through the dimensions. They may look different at different times, and I think these gateways exist not only in our body and our connection through our chakras. Each chakra is its own portal or gateway, and they also exist out of us. So there are many levels to understand the gateways and portals. To me, the gateway felt like it had a consciousness, and was holding a consciousness, and I have since found that to be very true, that in essence there are beings holding that space of consciousness and that frequency, and each color represents one of the different rays and the attributes of that ray that we can then embody, become, fully understand, incorporate into our being. And once we do that and become like, for instance, in my case, the pink ray, which is love, which is all-inclusive, unconditional, and all accepting. It is kindness. It is compassion. It is also the mechanism by which all life is life. So once we can understand that and embody and become that, what happened was I just simply merged and became one with that energy, that consciousness, and that portal. And once I could hold that space and be merged with it and one with it, and this is one of the things, it doesn't let us fool ourselves. We truly have to become that energy and hold that energy. And once that happens, poof, you are through that gate. And the gates came up to me in a series of a couple of, worked on this for a couple of months, and would encounter another gate. Some were easier than others for me to integrate with. Yellow was really easy for me, holding sun energy. I had already had a lot of practice doing that, so it was just that holding that, feeling that, loving that, becoming that, and it was quickly on. Blue was harder for me. Blue is one of the rays that I came to work on this time around, so I had a lot to integrate and to work on. The rays that we came in on may be the ones that are our highest opportunity to work on and embody, and this has to do with divine will and surrendering to divine will, but also rising up in your own will and desires and harmonizing the two of them. So the last colored gate that I encountered was the white gate, and this was clear, shimmering diamond light energy, and this is more of the incorporation of all the different rays and bringing them all into harmony, holding them all at the same time, and learned a lot by holding and matching that frequency and that resonance. So who are these beings that hold this space? And we kind of call them the gatekeepers. And when we talk about gatekeepers, the first thing that might pop up into our minds is something like someone standing there at the pearly gates with a little checkbook checking off your good deeds versus your bad deeds, and standing in judgment of us. And this is really one of the really cool things that I found in working with these gatekeepers. They are not standing in judgment of us. Yes, we do need to match it. We do need to incorporate lessons learned, all of the experience, totally embody to move on. And this is a safety precaution in some ways. This is how we don't take things that wouldn't be a vibrational or frequency match into those realms, which could be very destructive there if we're not ready. And so in essence, it's just a way to ensure that we are ready for that, that we have completed the steps necessary to get there, and that we don't kind of skip out on our own journey and go too far before we're ready for it. So in that respect, it's a very high service. But what is truly remarkable about the gatekeepers is they are not so much guarding against things coming in, as they are holding a space of allowance for all to pass through. They hold the door open for all of us. And this understanding is key to understanding the energy in which is kind of necessary to pass on through these gates. Their highest desire is for all of us to enter those realms and access those other dimensions, to see things from different perspectives and know that we are just kind of trapping ourselves in our own limited perception, that once we can see things from the perspectives of other frequencies and dimensions, we can actually grasp that knowingness for ourselves, that we are never separate, that we are all connected, and that we start applying that and living that here in our daily lives. So they are kind of the ambassadors, and what they're doing is a tremendous service, holding that door open for everyone. When they are ready to step through, they will be there, and they interact with us, they can guide us, they can we can hold conversation with them and have a dialogue and share experience and interchange wisdom and knowledge with them. So it's a tremendous adventure, and it is a learning adventure. It's growing and evolving into your highest frequency. So the last gate that I encountered was the 13th gate. And this has been something that I have been working on integrating for several months now. This is 13th dimension, this is 0 dimension. This is the place that we are all holding unity. It is access to the void. It is where we all came from. It is where we will all return to. And there is part of us experiencing there at all times, here and now. And who is the gatekeeper for the 13th gates? It was myself. And we are all our own 13th gate holder, along with the incorporation of the 12 previous gates. So, in essence, you merging with that energy of all 12 makes the 13th. It is more than the sum of its parts. And I was reminded of the never-ending story of Atreyu, who had to pass through that last mirror gate when he was visiting the Southern Oracle. And they got it. They understood that it was when he passed through, he merged with himself to pass through. And that's kind of what we have to do. We totally, fully embody and embrace that pure essence of our love being, and we become that. And when we become that, we effortlessly pass through the 13th gate. And it's all to hold that frequency and bring that back into the here and now with us. So we get to face ourselves in the end, and it may be a bit of a cliche, but then we are free to enter the void. And the void has been a complete unraveling and unfolding of so many secrets and mysteries and things we just haven't been able to fully understand here. The void is not the equivalent of darkness. In the void, all stands in potential at all times. It is all always there in a state of potential. When I entered into the void and felt nothingness, a place of nothingness, and for us that is hard to comprehend, but it didn't feel wrong and it didn't feel uncomfortable. It felt like unlimited potential. So our first instinct as creators and manifestors is to create this space, to make it our own, to start decorating and bring in all of these, our ideal thing. But I was kind of really hesitant to do that, and felt from, the beings who were there supporting me and communicating with me at that time, that it wasn't about creating or making this space into anything. It was the recognizing that it was already all at the same time. So in essence, we didn't have to make a choice. There was no choice to be made. A choice here would be limiting, because it takes away from that magical essence of the potential for all once we do make a choice. And we get to make those choices here in the more physical realms, but in the true space of source, this is the energy that source holds. It is the space of all at the same time, of all potential. So yeah, I mean, every illusion breaks down here. The illusion of past and future, it is all simultaneously happening now. And we can go into that space and see things from many, many different timelines, and see how the choices that we make here affect the here, but that time itself is just an illusion, and that we can travel through it. It all exists here in the now moment. So, the void is still unfolding for me, and I'm still trying to grasp it and understand it. It is where all manifests from. And I've come to understand that we can stay in that space and live in that space of infinite potential. Once I understood that, things can come in and come out of form and be whatever we need them to be at the moment. But it was just the knowingness of the idea that we don't ever have to make a choice, and that no choice is ever wrong, that it is all always free-flowing. So I encourage everybody to connect with and meet these gatekeepers in your own way, in your own time. And at the end of the journey, we meet ourselves and we meet our true essence, and we get to learn from ourselves and then bring that essence back here and now and start living from that place of knowingness and more in the truth of the incredible beings that we are. So enjoy your own journeys, and as more unfolds, hopefully we can share with each other what we learn on the way. Thanks.